And on the third step, he strikes and he cuts open your and there's a lot of pain. There's a lot of pain.
Michael Fay was sentenced to 4 months in prison and 4 strokes of the cane in Singapore in 1994.
I was bent over halfway. I mean, my back was bent in a 90 degree and I was cuffed, buckled like this. And he's whipping it as he's going on each step.
He had been accused of stealing road signs and vandalizing 18 cars over a 10-day period. The 18-year-old American pleaded guilty, believing it would spare him from corporal punishment, but he later claimed his confession was coerced and that he never vandalized any cars.
You hear the whip? And yes, I can. Mm-hmm.
At the time, Singapore's strict Vandalism Act imposed mandatory caning for defacing property. Even minor offences carried harsh penalties.
We know from experience that strict punishments deter criminals.
Michael's case began in September 1993 when 67 cars across Singapore were found damaged, spray-painted, egged, and in some cases the windshields were shattered.
If anybody just put themselves in this position, I don't think anybody would want their kid or someone close to them to be beaten with a cane.
Fay, who had moved to Singapore to live with his mother and stepfather, was amongst those identified in the vandalism. He was charged with vandalism, mischief, and possessing stolen property.
You come to Singapore, you abide by Singapore laws.
The US government, including President Bill Clinton, appealed for clemency, calling the punishment too extreme for a non-violent crime.
It's the first I've heard of it. I'll look into it.
At first, Singapore refused, defending its zero-tolerance policies. Officials argued that their harsh laws kept the country safe and orderly, unlike places like New York, where vandalism was rampant.
Personally, I have not seen anybody who has been traumatized by caning.
After international pressure, Singapore reduced Fay's caning from 6 strokes to 4.
And they decided that, 2 strokes reduction is as far as we can go without losing the support of Singaporeans.
On May 5th, 1994, he was strapped to a wooden frame and received 4 strikes from a bamboo cane. He described the pain as unbearable and said the wounds left scars for weeks.
And on the third step, he strikes and he cuts open your and there's a lot of pain. There's a lot of pain.
After serving his sentence, Fay returned to the US but struggled to move on. He later faced multiple legal troubles, including drug-related charges and time in rehab.
He seems to be okay. We weren't able to see the wounds, but he said that they have been treating them for him. He hasn't been able to look at them himself, he said, but he is counting the days till his release.
His case remains amongst one of the most controversial legal punishments ever handed down to an American abroad.